Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. Welcome to our tactical debrief where we're going to take a deep dive into Aston Villa 3, Luton Town 1. We're going to have a look at the average positions, passing networks. We're going to have a look at the tactics used. We're going to go to the images and we're going to have a look at the key phases during that game as well. But the final word for me on that performance would be mature. I think we're really starting to grow into this season now and grow into the expectation, and we're able to sort of carry out the plan, do what's required per game, which is a really, really good thing. Another thing that I've noticed, which is absolutely massive, psychology, just giving you that edge. It's all about having that added edge, finding that extra 5%, whether it's set pieces, whether it's just psychological. Whoever's put that European trophy slap bang in the middle of that tunnel is an absolute genius as well, because Unai's manifesting success in his head. Subconsciously, the players will walk past that trophy, might not think anything of it, might think something. But if you can keep manifesting certain aspects like the Champions League, winning things, success, then it gives you that advantage. So I think having that trophy in that tunnel is an absolute masterstroke. And yeah, there's some things that I noticed in this game that gave us the edge. Maybe not the obvious, but we'll go through it now on what I picked out. But I'm going to kind of just first of all take you back to the match preview that we did for Luton. And I highlighted an area that I'd watched Luton quite a bit this season. And I'd noticed a vulnerability about them. And you will remember me saying about these two zones here. Now, these two zones against Luton are in front of their back 3, 5, whatever you want to call it, and behind their midfield 2. And it leaves space, and it leaves gaps, and it leaves an ability for teams to expose Luton. It allows them to have players like Zaniolo running through that area, Diaby running through that area, and just really exploiting and really getting at the Luton back line. So remember this image in your head right now, okay? So we're going to go to some of the images of the Luton game, and there's, again, key areas for me where this game was won for Aston Villa. And first of all, you can see that space that I was talking about. You've got that little box area there. You've got this massive gap here. And now you've got Diaby, who's just sort of broke through that gap through there, and he's now onto a free ball. You can see that the Luton midfield is there. You can see that their defence is there as well. And there was that gap. And Aston Villa were able to exploit this space all game. And it was an absolute game changer. To exploit this space, to get in behind that midfield, is something that Villa did really, really well. And Moussa Diaby was absolutely instrumental in doing this. Time and time again, he found space in that area. Again, we can see that the ball has gone out wide to Matty Cash. And again, you've got the Luton midfield, and you've got this massive space here where Aston Villa players are able to break through and get through that midfield. Again, we've started to see Cash go further forward. Boubacar Kamara then takes up that role, making that back 3. And then what we did see is we saw John McGinn going into that double pivot and helping out Dougie Luiz through there as well. So even though it was the same formation, we've seen this before, there's that continual fluid nature with our team and the way we play. And again, you can see that gap through there. We've seen that defensive structure, and it feels like at the minute when we do go at home with Luca Dean and Matty Cash, it is Kamara who goes back and tucks in to make up that back 3 as well. We've got another shot here, and I think this is one where it's really highlighting. You've got the double pivot. So we know that a double pivot cannot be on the same line. So we don't want them to be on the same line. But you've got, in this instance, Boubacar Kamara, who's moving into make up that space and make up that back 3 through there. So we've got McGinn in the double pivot, and then we've got Kamara moving into that defensive area as well, which we did fantastically well all game. Again, we saw Matty Cash getting forward, and this was a great double save from the keeper. Yeah, Watkins, should he score? It was a great save, to be fair. So I think that just highlights how far forward Matty Cash was getting as our right back in this game as well. Now, this is the first big talking point I want to talk about in this game, and it's set pieces. And we can take for granted the importance of set pieces, but not this season. This season, what I'm feeling like is any stone is not being left unturned. And I think we're using everything we possibly can to get that advantage on the opposition. I also spoke about on Friday that Luton, although they are quite direct, and you'd imagine that they would get goals from set pieces, they don't defend goals from set pieces. They don't defend set pieces very, very well. It's very chaotic. Everybody runs to the ball. There's a lack of awareness. They leave players unmarked. And this is what they did for this goal. So shout out to Austin McPhee, because I think he's gone up a level this season. I think Villa from set pieces have gone up a level. I think we are really, really creative from set pieces. And I think that's so exciting. How many different variations are we starting to see week on week with our set pieces? And this was an absolute fantastic set piece from Aston Villa. So we're going to talk about it. Free kick, Dougie Luiz on that left-hand side. We've got Moussa Diaby, who has no intention whatsoever in getting involved with this ball. Doesn't want to touch it, doesn't need to touch it. That's not the set-piece routine. The routine is to act as a blocker. So as you can see, the Luton player was marking Diaby, and Diaby moved out the way because he knew John McGinn was the player that was destined to have this ball. Now, first thought, and this is why this goal's so good, first thought would be John McGinn, smash it on your left foot and hit it with your preferred foot. If you did do that, okay, we all know he can score good goals. Remember last season against Chelsea, kind of the same sort of space where he's at. But look how crowded it is. It's so crowded in there. It's so congested. And if he hits it, it might ricochet. We don't know where it's going to go. The clever thing that he does is he takes a touch and puts it onto his right foot. That touch takes all of these players that are going to come out to him completely out of picture because they're thinking he's going to strike it. He moves it to his right foot and then smacks it bottom corner. And that move of getting it onto that right foot takes all those players out the way. And it's a fantastically worked free kick. Absolutely brilliant. And it needs to be talked about, our set pieces, a lot because we're so creative and absolutely love them. And John McGinn ran all the way around here, straight to Austin McPhee. And it was a set piece that was worked on the training ground. And then we spoke about how demanding he's been of these set pieces after the game as well. So absolutely massive. Great goal. And then here's the image actually. So all of these Luton players have kind of been sold because they think he's going on his left. He turns them and then he's just able to fire it into that bottom corner there. And it's a really well-worked free kick, and I absolutely loved it. What else have we got to show you? We have got this image here. So we've got the first one for the second goal. Mr. Unselfish, Leon Bailey, headers it back across goal to find his partner in crime, Moussa Diaby. It was well worked with John McGinn's strength on that left-hand side. Beautiful ball from Luca Dean, headed back down from Leon Bailey, and then Diaby, what a finish in this zone here. I think, do you remember when we, at the start of the season, we kept saying that this was his position, this was his zone? We haven't really seen it for a couple of weeks, but he's in acres of space, really. And even that finish, it takes a bounce before he hits it. And to keep that control, Absolutely fantastic finish from Moussa Diaby. And again, you can see here now, you've got Moussa Diaby in behind that midfield two of Luton in that area that we said Villa were going to exploit. And it is a beautiful ball from Boubacar Kamara, just over the top, timed at the right moment. And it was just put across goal. Lockyer puts it in his own net. But again, that zone that we highlighted is an area that Villa exploited all game. And if Lockyer didn't finish it, Watkins would have had a tap in through there. And then we got to touch on the goal. I think what Konsa was trying to do is, I think he was trying to cushion it back to Martinez. I think he tried to get a little bit more height on it. So if he got that height on it where it went high, then Martinez could just come out and grab it. But he just got too much on it. It hit off the back of Martinez and went in. So, yeah, some real good stuff that I highlighted. I'll pat myself on the back here because I did my research and I knew where the space was going to be. So, yeah, there we go. Right, then, let's have a look at all of the images now, the stats from the game. So, here we've got Villa's XG of 2.39. Luton's was 0.48. We had 71 possession. They had 29. We had 17 shots, 6 on target. They had 7 shots and 1 on target. We made 617 passes. They made 238. They only had 77% passing accuracy of 238 passes. And off our 617, we had 90% passing accuracy, which is, I mean, whenever I look at that stat, I always think Man City, they're always in the 90s. So that just shows how good we were with the ball. We had 40% dribble success, and we both lost the ball 95 times. So these are some really good stats, actually, that we've got here today, because it shows how dominant we actually were. So we had an XG by the minute of 3.29. And as you can see, Villa are in the light blue and Luton are in the dark blue. I really like this one as well. So the match dominance based on expected threat. So we were 6.87 and they were 2.29. But again, look at all those massive spikes, those heavy periods of complete domination. Absolutely love it. And then the XG for and against by the minute. So look at this graph now. The XG by the minute, Aston Villa are in the light blue and Luton are in the dark blue. And they barely get off the marker. So it's absolutely amazing. Aston Villa attacked through the middle, left and through the right. And we were quite dominant inside the box as well. Shot map, Villa shooting from everywhere. And then here's Aston Villa's average position. So you can really see how high we were in this game. And I think, you know, it shows here that we've got defensive structure, but we've also got sort of a gap between our midfield and our forwards. And I think that really was to do with how we attacked and how we got in behind that midfield. You've got Kamara sort of screening. You've got Luiz and you've got McGinn inside the middle. You've got a threat coming from Luca Dean, number 12 on the left. And then you've got Diaby, Zaniolo and Watkins offering that sort of front three in a little triangle. We've got our passing network here as well. So you can see that Konsa to Torres and Torres to Luca Dean was a real big network. You've also got in the middle, Luiz, what we see virtually every game. He's actively in that centre, orchestrating everything. But then what you have got is you've got that network with Kamara and Diaby. You've got Cash and Bailey as well. And then you've got Watkins up top as well. And he didn't really have too much of a network, but they all played really, really well. And then you've got Luton's average positions. So you can see that majority of their players are inside their own half, which is pretty defensive, to be fair. And then this was the Luton passing network. So I think why Aston Villa were able to get turnovers and get the ball back is when it was going up long to Doherty, we was able to retrieve the ball quite quickly. And I mean, this isn't a very good passing network at all. I can't really make of it much. You've got Lockyer to Barkley. Barkley out wide, and it's very congested in the middle. There's no organisation. There's no... I can't tell what they're trying to do from watching this passing network, whereas when you go back to a Villa passing network, you can kind of get an understanding of how we're trying to play and what we're trying to do in a game. I think when you look at a passing network, that's what you want to be able to see. You want to be able to see actively what are we trying to do. And I think with Villas, you can see that we keep possession. We can see that we've got screeners. We've got midfield. We go out wide to Luka Dean. We've got a threat with Diaby and Kamara. So you can really get an understanding of what we're all about and how we're playing, really. So I just think it was a real good performance from Villa. Very dominant. Maybe not as explosively exciting, but that doesn't mean it's not a good game. So it's just a different way of Villa playing, and I think it's just absolutely brilliant. I will give one shout out to one player on the debrief, and that's going to be Moussa Diaby. I think he was absolutely unreal. I thought he was really, really good. He's so quick, electric, pacey, vibrant, can finish, technical. I think that's the one thing that you can see about him is the fact that you can see what caliber of player we've signed. You can see that the caliber of player that we've got is of that higher end quality. And everything that he does is just brilliant, and I absolutely love him. And he's brilliant. And shout out to my friend on the mic at Villa. When I was speaking to him about the under-23s, and he was saying that he's trying to get the chance going after we score. So when Diaby scored, he was like, goal scorer, DR, and then the Villa fans will carry that song on. So I think it's brilliant. Absolutely love it. So keep up the good work. We've got lots of content that's been out this week. We've had fan cam, match reaction, your debrief, TikToks, YouTube shorts. If you don't follow us on any of those, make sure you give us a little follow on TikTok. And then we'll have our week's content, which is going to be starting on Wednesday. So you'll have your Forest preview on Wednesday. And so you'll just have your normal match routine of match preview, predicted lineup, press conference, opposition preview. Bit more calmer this week. Because last week we had European action, and then towards the back end of the week it gets quite chaotic, doesn't it? So it's quite a chilled one, really, this week. Just cheers for all your support. Absolutely massive. If you aren't subscribed and you do watch us, then you could do us a favour by making a YouTube account. I think you just have to make an email address for Google, and then you can just subscribe and comment away and get involved. So all the content that we do is there for you guys to get involved with as well. So cheers everybody, and we'll be back in the week. Up the Villa.